People, you don't know a real bad cat I represent for that channel.
It's only for the purpose of information. So I have to say that. So none of what I'm saying to you is for the purpose of medical advice, and you should not take any substance without the knowledge of your healthcare provider. All right, so I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a doctor of natural medicine. And so legally I can't tell you not to take your prescription medication. But what I'm going to be doing is general information. So if anybody asks me a question about any herb or anything, I'm going to give general information. I call it general information because everybody is unique. Even though you say you may have high blood pressure, you may have high blood pressure with a kidney problem, you may have high blood pressure with blood clotting problem. And so anybody that I see and guide, I have to see them on a personal level. All right. So I'm gonna be on for about how long?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. So I'll be able to take questions. If you have any questions, I'll be able to take them. And also we have a website. There's gonna be a link in the video that can take you to our website where we do more personalized consultation. Also, from the offices that I operate, I basically use a machine that I use. So when I see you, I don't just see you. I put you on a machine and you don't even have to open your mouth. In less than 1 minute, I can tell you anything that's wrong with you. So that is how I work. I'm not one of those persons when I tell you to go and drink this, go and drink that, go and drink this, and go and drink that, because anything that can help you can also hurt you. Anything that can heal you can also hurt you. And so it has to do with dosage, and so it has to do with your specific needs. All right? So with that being said, as I said, I'm going to be on for half an hour, and I'm going to take some questions.
Yeah, let me phone that. Go live and you can see it better. You want to do that. You can see it from here.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. So with that being said, I'm willing to take some questions. Anybody have any questions that relate to health, or we just going to talk about some health first?
All right, you're going to talk about some herbs and stuff first, and then now you make people know what you do. Sometimes you're going to have people that talk to you live.
Okay.
Some people are going to talk to you live, then you can press it, and then you can talk to them.
All right, good. All right, so I'm in what is called nature's pharmacy. This is the pharmacy of nature. So everything that we pretty much need to heal ourselves is available right here. Because one of the reasons why we get sickness is mostly due to blockages and imbalances. And so most of the time it's a imbalance in certain chemicals or certain hormones in our body. And so the closest natural resemblance to that is going to be from plants. So let me just take you and show you some plants. Let's look on this one that is growing on this tree. Let's look on this herb that is growing on this tree. All right, so this herb, it's a vine, and this herb is called cow tongue. All right, I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. All right, cow tongue. Let me see if I can get a leaf and show you. It is cow tongue, and under the leaf, this one doesn't have any seed. Let me see if I can find all the seeds. Yeah, here's one with the seeds. Let's give you getting permission from you to just teach. All right, so this is cow tongue, not cow tongue, Hearthstone, H-A-R-T-S, Hearthstone, not cow tongue, Hearthstone, and this is a herb that these are the seeds underneath it.
You can't see it, man.
Yeah, and this is a herb that basically it's come from the fern family. And it is what we call an astringent. So this is a herb that was used by our ancestors to stop internal bleeding.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
back then, if somebody went and climb a tree or a woodlocker would be cutting, and for example, the tree fell down on you and you had any type of internal bleeding, then this herb was used to stop that internal bleeding.
Yeah.
And and what it does is that it constricts the blood vessel. So it's also good for any type of hemorrhoids. Or what we would call pile. Yeah. It's also good for stopping any blood wound. So if you have a cut in your hand and you're bleeding profusely, having heavy bleeding, you can get this herb, you can crush it, and you can add it to the area, and it will stop the blood almost immediately. So if you notice also, it has the form of a band-aid. So it's kind of like a band-aid. It's kind of like a nature's band-aid. So if you get the leaves and crush the leaves, put it on where you have the heavy bleeding, you can use it as a band-aid to cover it. Similar to most of the herbs that are band-aid, that are band-aid property, they tend to grow like this. So like English plantain, which is another herb that grows like this, is usually very good for internal bleeding. All right. So this is a herb that grows in many forests. It's not something that you would want to cut down. It's not something that you would want to destroy because it has so much medicinal use and it grows wild. Most places you go, you'll see it growing wild on the tree. All right. So it's a type of internal. It's a type of band-aid. So it deals with bleeding. All right. So let's move on. Let's see if we can find another herb to look at.
Yes, sir.
Let me show you one. Let me show you one down here. So, this one is a herb that is known in St. Kitts and the Nevis. The St. Kitts and Nevis, many a small island, they know this herb because it's good for cold. But not only good for cold, it's good for diabetes. It's good to purge the blood. And this is one of my favorite herbs. It's a herb that has gotten the name of the plant is based on how bitter it is. So this is a herb that is very good for you. So here I have one here. See if I can show you. Hold on. I'm sure a bigger tree. So this is a small one. Some of you may know this herb.
I can call it bitter what?
Bitter Albert.
Yeah, I want to know one.
Right? Or Jackass bitters. Right? And it's called Jackass bitters because people would say you'd have to be as dumb or as foolish as a jackass to drink something that bitter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Hey,
here
rub
it
it and put it on your tongue, you know. That, you know. Spoil it there, man. See that,
Here
huh?
it is.
Nothing bitter, someone.
Here it is. Jackass bitters. Now, I teach herbology very different. I teach about herbs very different from how most persons that you know will teach about herbs. Because one of the things that I teach you to do is to experiment, is to learn to interact. So this is Jackass bitters. And on my channel, so I have a YouTube channel, hallelujahlifestyle.com, and on that, I teach persons to know the medicinal use of every herb. So you can use the five senses. Our ancestors use our five senses to know the medicinal use of any herb. Not the five, the six senses. Most of you would have known the five senses. The sixth sense is a sense of intuition. Every herb speaks to us. So this is Jackass bitters, and I'm going to taste it.
You can't do that print dark face.
I can't do that.
And
I better you do that.
when you taste a herb, what you're basically doing is you are tasting it to identify the properties of it. So by tasting this herb, one property is that it's bitter. Most bitter herbs are good for the liver. Most bitter herbs are also good for the blood. And it also has a fragrance. It has a very nice fragrance to it. So this is a herb that is good for cold, and it's good for mucus. So it's very good in terms of getting mucus out of the body. Now, there are two types of bitter herbs. There's what we call a simple bitter herb, and then there's what we call fragrant bitter herbs. And if you notice, based on what I do, the word doctor comes from the word doctrine. It means to teach. What I prefer to do is to empower persons by guiding persons and teaching persons how to know things, how to determine things for themselves. Because here's the thing about our ancestors taught. Our ancestors taught using fables, using parables, and using principles where even the simplest persons. So when they tell you, when our ancestors taught you something, even if you were very less learned, you would have been able to determine for yourself. So our ancestors, for example, would say, whenever the sun rises, it's morning. Right? And it doesn't matter how simple a person is. If a child is 3-year-old or 4-year-old, a child can determine morning for themselves because you've taught them how to determine morning.
Yeah.
Anytime the sun is rising, is morning.
Yeah.
Now let's look on how Western society teaches. Western society teaches that the morning begins at 12:01.
Yeah.
So first of all, how you going to know when it's 12:01? Because 12:01 and 1 o'clock at night, there's no difference, you know. The only way you can know is if you use a watch.
Yeah.
So you always have to depend on something that man makes to figure out man's conclusion.
Yeah.
But when we depend on nature, anything that nature states can also be verified by the most simple person. Yeah? When nature says it's night, everybody can confirm because it's dark. You get what I'm saying? So in the same way, whenever a person tells you that a plant is good for something, there should be a way for you to determine how to know if they might tell you the truth or not.
Yeah.
Good? So let me give you some example. Let's look at some plants. Nearly every plant that grows a yellow flower is good for the kidney. Because nature is coded, you know.
Yeah.
So even if you didn't see a plant, even if you saw a plant and didn't know the name, one of the things that you would be able to do just by looking at a plant is to know most of the time that once it grows a yellow flower, it's good for your kidney or good for your urinary tract system. Most plants that grow so we talk about, let's give some example, corn silk, yellow pui, and some of these herbs I'm calling person may not even know. But most herbs that grow a yellow flower, good for the urinary tract. Most herbs that grow a red flower, good for the blood.
Yes.
Yeah? So nature, everything in nature is color-coded. So once you learn the principles, so what a person can begin to do now is say, oh, I was watching TikTok and I heard this doctor man say, most plants that grow a yellow flower. I'm going to begin to now look on any plant that a herbalist tell you that is good for the kidney. Begin to start to research now. Does it grow a yellow flower?
Yeah.
Any plant that they say good for the blood, begin to research. Does it grow red flower?
Yeah.
Any plant that is good for pain, usually grow maca on it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
You
So
get that pain?
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So maca cause pain. So everything in nature is color coded. So this plant grows a yellow flower, by the way. And so it is also very good for the urinary tract system, for persons who are having, not kidney stone, but for persons who are having problems with frequent urination. So urinary tract infection, then this plant is also good for that. It's also good for diabetes. All right? Helps to get rid of diabetes. But it is used a lot. One of the things that it is used for a lot is getting rid of mucus. So if you know somebody that has cold, mucus, and you take this within a day or so, the cold goes because it's also very high in vitamin C.
So I could have asked you how you do that to get rid of cold, doc?
Well, what you would have to do is you'd have to get this herb and you'd have to dry it.
Yeah.
And once you dry it, then you would, what I recommend that you do is you powder it. So back in the days, you would put it in a mortar and beat it into a powder.
Yeah.
Why would you want it in a powder? Why do you think you don't want it in a powder?
Yeah.
So you can measure it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with herbs now. You have to be able to know how to measure it.
Oh, okay.
So if you beat it in a powder, or nowadays we use a blender to put it in the blender dry.
Yeah.
Blend it out to a powder. Now you can use a teaspoon and you can measure it out. So you take 1 teaspoon to 1 cup boiling water. And then that would help you with any type of cold or any type of mucus buildup that you have.
But after that powder, like, why may I say this is like, is a full explanation. After this teaspoon of powder in this cup of hot water, you don't boil it. You just put it in a cup of hot water to dry.
Right.
And strain.
Right. So that's called steeping.
Yeah.
Steeping. So we don't boil leaves and stem.
Yes.
We steep them. We don't boil them because those plant material are soft.
Yes.
And the medicine is easy to come out.
Yes.
Heat destroys a lot of the medicine, you know.
Oh, okay.
So I would even add to that there's also, you can also infuse it. What is an infusion? That is when you take the plant and you throw cold water on it and you leave it for 1 day.
Oh, okay.
Make it dry.
Yeah,
The
let
water dry.
soak it
So
in
that's
it.
even better.
Yeah.
Because heat, or more heat, the more damage.
Yeah.
So if you boil it, then you're going to destroy all the minerals, all the medicine going to be gone. If it is the bark, or if it is the root of the plant, where the medicine is harder to be extracted, then that is when you boil it. And you boil it on low heat for about 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Other than that, you're going to damage the plant. So dosage is important and preparation is important.
Yes, I know the
All right?
dosage.
Dosage is very
Yes,
important.
sir.
And some people, you know, I like to talk about because I look at plants from a scientific perspective. A lot of people ask why is it that, you know, Dogface will take some medicine and Dogface will come and report that it worked for him.
Yeah.
And then somebody else take it and they don't get the same experience.
Yeah.
There are a number of factors that can contribute to that. This type of the soil.
Yes.
Because remember, this plant is based on the potential of this plant and the medicine in this plant is based on the soil that is planted in.
Yeah.
So if it's a poor quality soil, then it's a poor quality herb.
Yes.
You understand? If it's a rich quality soil, then it's a rich quality herb.
Yeah.
So that is one factor that has to do with the quality of the herb, also when it was reaped.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Herbs cannot be reaped any time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah? So one thing is that when you're reaping herbs, you have to reap herbs from in the morning to about 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because all the medicines in the plant. So what happens is that with a herb, the medicine moves from the root to the leaves.
Yeah.
So when the sun is rising, the medicine is also rising.
Yeah. Okay.
The medicine in a plant work with the sun or work with light. So when the sun is rising, as the sun is rising, so is the medicine raising until it comes up in the leaf.
Okay.
After 12 o'clock, when the sun starts to set, then the medicine starts to leave the leaves and go back into the root where it will stay during the night.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why you want to reap the plant, because different parts of the herb. If you're going to reap the herb for the leaf, for the uses of the leaf, it's best to reap it from anywhere from morning, sunrise to midday.
Yeah.
So that determines the quality. So that explains why some person will take a herb and get a particular result, and another person take it and they don't get the same result. Also, it also has to do with the moon.
Yeah.
When is the moon is out? Because I said herb is based on a number of factors. So the soil type, the moon, and all of those. All right, so look at this herb. Look at this herb. This one.
Watch it up.
Anybody can tell me what this herb is?
How you that?
This herb.
Favor, share me, darling.
I didn't call hurricane weed.
Why you don't think it's Shema, darling?
Because you not shut up. You touch you and you not shut up.
Oh, you're brilliant, man. So it looks like it, but it is not. This is called partridge peas.
Yeah.
Now this grow a yellow flower, whereas Shema Maka grow a purple flower.
Yeah.
So it's from a similar family, but there are a number of differences with it. For one, I just said the leaves don't close up. Number two, the stem is green.
Yeah.
With Shema Maka, and the black you see me.
They will see everything.
Oh, you see it? Okay. Yeah. So with Shema Maka, number one, Shema Maka is not as erect as this. So this plant is growing erect.
Okay,
Shema Maka grows.
Yeah,
right.
True.
All right. Sure. Here's another one that looks like it. See if I can bring the camera down.
Yeah, they will see it.
You can see this one?
Yeah.
So to most people, they look the same. And they are similar, but they are not the same. They are different plants.
Yeah.
This one is called Chamba bitters, or Chanka Piedra, or seed pamba.
Well, I didn't call hurricane weed.
I don't know about hurricane weed, but I know most people call it seed pamba because if you look underneath it, you see the seeds them?
Okay. Yeah, they have
Some people call it carry me seed.
Yeah.
And this herb is known, anybody, you can Google this herb. You'll find it under Chanka Piedra.
Yeah.
Chanca, Chanka, and then Piedra is Piedra. Now, Chanka Piedra is Spanish for seed, Chanka for stone breaker. So, in most parts of the world, this herb is known as the stone breaker. And nature is telling you that it works like that because it has the features. It has some objects under the seed. The leaves of the seed of this plant is under the leaves of the plant.
Yes.
And it is because this is the number one herb for destroying kidney stones.
Yes.
Understand? It's called stone breaker. So it looks like the partridge pea because they're from the pea family. They all produce peas. Most plants that produce peas have what is called a pinnate leaf.
Yeah.
Moringa noni, you know the leaves them shape? Yeah. Most plant that grow peas, they're from a family called the pea family.
Yeah.
So most of them will have a leaf structure like this. And this is a herb that is good for the kidney. So even though they are different, they can be used together. So the partridge pea, the Chanka Piedra, and the shema maca. Let's see if we can find the shema maca.
Out there, sir.
Yeah, because we want to show you that all three of them look alike, but they're different. So the partridge pea it has alternate leaves, just like the shema maca, but the shema maca carry a purple stem, right? Carry a purple stem. This one carries a green stem with green leaves. This one is more erect, and this one has yellow flower. Let's see if we can find some
The shema maca was here, sir.
shema maca. And the reason why I'm doing this video presentation is because one of the things that happened to us is that we don't know enough about the herbs that are available in the pharmacy around us. The scripture says that the Most High, Yahuwah, has given us the herbs for the healing. Yeah. Oh yeah, see here. So let's look on the shema maca. Or the shema darling. Try down. Bend it. No, look here. It won't. Lean it down. Good. Lean it down more. Yeah, man. I can bring it that spot. So this is the shema maca, or the Mimosa pudica, or the shema lady. And what you will see, what's different from the shema lady, is that the stem is a little more purple. The stem also has thorns on it. And it's more like a running vine. It's not erect. It's really a vine. And you will see its signature feature. One of the signature feature of this plant is that once you touch it, it begins to close up, which is why it's also called a sensitive plant. And this plant, the root of it is very good for toothache. It's also called you can take the root and just crush it up and stuff it in any cavity that you have, and it will stop the pain almost immediately. It's also very good for erection. So the root of this is also good for building back the erection in men. It's good for the nerves because, as you can see, it functions similar to a human or animal that has the features of sensitivity to touch. Yeah. So it's also very good for the nerves. This
up and down. Yeah, man, up and down.
And
you know?
this was a plant. This was a plant that was not loved by the slaves back in the days. The slaves didn't love this plant, but the slave masters loved this plant.
Yes.
One reason for that was that the slave masters would make sure that the property fencing always have these plants, so that whenever a slave run away, they know. All they would have to do is to find the shema maca in that area.
Lock up, you know?
They lock up and they know that this was the direction.
Castle.
Yes. So the slaves didn't love that. The slaves would always have to study the plantation to see where they were planted, to know what was a safe way of escape. So this plant is, it's also from the pea family. And most plants that come from the pea family tend to also be very good for the, they are very high in protein, which is one of the reasons because they add back nitrogen to the soil. So they are very good for the urinary tract system and so on. Right beside it is another nice plant. This one most people know. The leaves are very small, but this is a plant that is called, not vervain, sorry. It's good for the skin. Name just slipped me. Guaco.
Guaco bush.
Yeah, guaco. So some cultures it is called guaco. And this is a plant that is you know, as I said, you can learn the uses of plant by looking at how the plant grows. When this plant grows, what it does is that it's a coverage. When it grows in the wild, it covers everything. Yeah. And that's telling you that this plant is good for the skin.
So as Doc say, peeps, remember good. This one is for erectile. Remember, look how we touch it and it gone in. So after a few, how long it take to come back up, Doc? Like after you touch it?
5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes you open up back, right?
And that's very important because they would know how long ago you passed.
Yes. So peeps, as we say, especially from the man them, remember said this, I will make you go down and come up. So if you drink the bush here and follow up the bush here, you will go down in a 5 and 10 minutes up again.
What the fuck? Come on now, dog.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I love that.
Yes, sir, I say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go down that 5,
Yeah,
man, come
man.
back up.
5 and 10 minutes
Yeah.
up again.
Yeah.
Just like how it work, I saw it work.
So it work in your body.
Yeah, man.
So and of course dosage, because here's what some man hear that, you know.
I got
Some man we can't get up no time. I say more is better.
Yes.
Because there are certain persons who think that if they have a problem, what they need to do is to take
a lot of stuff.
Take a lot of
Explain
the medicine.
it to them,
Yeah,
Mark.
it doesn't
Explain
work
it to
like
them.
that. What you need to do, rather than taking a lot of it, what you need to do is to take it consistently.
Yes. All the time, every day
Yeah.
or every
So
day. But not now.
and what we said to the person is that you shouldn't take any herb for longer than 1 month straight.
And get a break.
Yeah. Why? Because again, it's medicinal. Remember, no, the medicine that the plant is supplying, your body should supply it.
Yes.
So when you take any medicine longer than a month, you are telling your body that you don't have to produce because it is being produced from an external source.
Yes.
So what you want to do is to use the herb to gently encourage the body. Yeah, gently encourage the body to produce what it wasn't producing. So if you take any herb, I know for example like Duppy gun.
Yes.
If you drink Duppy gun, you can develop a thing called dry back. So it give you nature, but it can give you so much nature that you have dry back. That is when you ejaculate, there's no sperm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like too much of it.
too much of it. So anything that can hurt you can also harm you. What you want to do is you want to find the balance.
Yes.
And that is the thing. Balance. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to do too little. You want to find that right balance. All right. Find us. We're in Kingston. We're at shop number 7, Ligani Lane Plaza. And the main number is 831-9697. That's 831-9697. And for those of you outside of Jamaica, the area code is 876. So it's 876-831-9697. And for those of you in Jamaica, we have an office in Kingston. That's shop number 7, Ligani Lane Plaza. We are also in Port Antonio, Portland at 6 Boundbrook Avenue. We're in St. Anne's Bay at 4 Roy Street. That's the same street that JPS is on. And in Morant Bay, we are at 5 Church Street, right upstairs Universal Church. Outside of that, if you're outside of Jamaica, you want to contact us, there's going to be a link in the description of the video.
Yes, sir.
All you need to do is to click on that link and it will bring you to our website where you will see the products and services that we have
That is
available.
it. That is it. Bless up. Nice having you, that.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Bless up.
Bless him.
Bless up.